even like no matter like what your peers are thinking, or like if you're worried that they'll think lesser of you, a lot of the times people will look up to someone who is willing to take a stand. So just get comfortable like being uncomfortable, because God will love you no matter what, and you want to be able to set the best example you can for the people around you.
Hello and welcome back to the Why I Stay podcast, the podcast where we discover why we stay in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Tonight, I have with me Mercedes Vazquez. Mercedes, welcome to the podcast.
Hi, I'm happy to be here.
We
I
are so
apologize for
happy.
any like noise. I am in the car, but it's
Hey,
okay.
the podcast will not stop for anyone. The podcast must roll on. I love it. This is
Yes.
perfect.
Yes.
Yep. Okay, so Mercedes, what we're going to do here tonight is we're going to give you rapid fire questions to get to know you. Then we're going to do your exploratory questions, and then we're getting straight into the final question that everybody gets on this podcast. Why do you stay in the church? So, are you ready?
Yes.
All right. Mercedes, how old are you?
I'm 21.
Do you have any nicknames?
Yeah, I go by like Mercy, Sadie, Mercedes, Sade, stuff like that.
Wow, you got a lot. That's nice. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Where do you live?
I live in Orem, Utah.
What's your favorite food?
Probably tacos. Can't go wrong with tacos.
Can never go wrong with tacos. What is your current hobby?
I think current hobby is probably just going to the gym. I'm like, you'll find me at the gym before work, after work, before I go to bed. So yeah, just like fitness and exercise.
That's a good hobby to have.
Yeah.
What has been your favorite calling ever?
My favorite calling was being my YSA Ward choir director, just because I've always had like a background in music. I've always loved music, and having the opportunity to explore that with like also like serving my church was so amazing.
What is a controversial opinion that you hold? Like everybody's loving Crocs right now, but you hate them.
That's actually my opinion. I hate Crocs.
Me too. Nobody ever like says anything about my example question, but like that I brought it up because that's actually like my example. Like that's mine.
Yes. I saw like Croc heels and I was like, what are you doing? Anyway.
That's hilarious. What is your biggest dream?
My biggest dream is just to like be a mom. At this time it's like terrifying to like think of like being a mother, but like it'd be like so amazing to do that.
That is beautiful. You don't hear that one very often. Good on you.
Thank you.
Last one. What is something about you that is the same now as it was when you were in high school?
I'd say my poor eyesight. I've always had contacts or glasses, and it's just gotten worse, honestly. So, but that has not changed.
So we're going to go on to the exploratory questions now. And the one that you've chosen to speak on, the first one is, when have you had to have courage in your discipleship?
Yeah, so that's a good question. And that like got me thinking. I was trying to think about it, like living in like Orem, Utah, like church center. You would think it's like really easy to like be a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, but sometimes I find it like harder where like friends will like try to justify things, be like, no, like we're not going all the way, so like we're not technically like breaking the law of chastity, or we're not technically doing this, and just being able to be like, no, like I've been guilty of it sometimes, I'll admit that, but being able to like put down that line, like even with like close friends who are very active in the church, and just being like, no, like we both know that this is like not what the church leaders have said, this is not what the Book of Mormon says, and we both know better, so why are we like pretending that we do? I've had a few scenarios like that come up through my life, so especially being like younger.
So if there's somebody out there who kind of feels like they struggle with standing up and like having courage to say something like that, what advice would you give that person?
Even though like it can be like hard and scary sometimes, when it comes down to it, it depends on like your relationship between you and God. And if you're just like, God, I know that I need to stand up for myself, give me the strength to do that, he'll provide that for you. Even like no matter like what your peers are thinking, or like if you're worried that they'll think lesser of you, a lot of the times people will look up to someone who is willing to take a stand. So just get comfortable like being uncomfortable, because God will love you no matter what, and you want to be able to set the best example you can for the people around you.
And honestly, like even if you lose friends in the process, I remember saying to one of my friends once, the only person you have to live with the rest of your life is yourself, right? Like you have to be able to live with yourself for the rest of your life. And so friends come and go. Like you'd hope that you'd have friends that would stick by you, but honestly, like like you said, your relationship between you and God is the most important. Okay, next question. What is one experience that really increased your maturity in the gospel?
Okay. So I chose that question just because I had like an instant memory come to mind. So May of 2021, me and my family went through a really hard trial. And it was scary and it was messy, and like there was more people involved, so I'm not going to go into too much detail, but it was a pretty traumatic thing that happened to us. And it actually, before that, like I was not very active in the church. I was doing like just about all the things I tell you not to do. And then in that moment, I was like, I need family. I need like a community, because my family, it felt like a mess like during that time. And it was my first weekend being on my own. So I went back to my YSA ward, and I found like such like amazing people, and being around them, they were already so mature in the gospel and in their discipleship. Being around that influence helped significantly. And I think if I hadn't gone through this trial with my family, that I would I would not be going on a mission right now. I would probably still be like off fooling around. That I'm going on my mission to Anaheim, California on October 24th. But yeah, that's definitely like the experience that comes to mind. And I'm like, it was hard, and like I still like get anxiety about it, but I'm so grateful for it at the same time, because through pain you grow, which isn't fun, and like a lot of people don't like to hear that. But if I stayed in my happy little bubble where there was no consequences, my life would not be the same. And I would definitely say like my life and like maturity level is so much higher and so much better now.
You and two other podcast interviewees that I've had in the last few weeks have said something similar along the lines of, I'm so grateful, or I'm grateful for this experience that I've gone through. Like I wouldn't really necessarily want to do it again, and I wouldn't necessarily, wish this upon anybody else, but that now that they're out of it, they actually feel grateful for it. And this is such a deep and penetrating thought, I think, about how with Christ, he can turn any dark period of our life into something we are grateful for, which is just mind-blowing and so amazing. I'm grateful that you mentioned that, because it's true that sometimes we just need wake-up calls, and even though they're painful and we might still bear, some residual effects from it, it's something that Christ can turn into a learning opportunity. Thank you for sharing that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, of course.
Okay, third question is, what makes you so excited about the gospel of Jesus Christ? What aspects of it really light you up?
My absolute like favorite aspect is the idea of like eternal family, being with my family and my future spouse and companion for eternity. Because that statement alone is just so powerful. I have two older brothers that we don't have like a good relationship, not by choice, because they were from my mom's second marriage, and her ex-husband had custody of them, and they were in Tennessee and I was in Utah. So I didn't get an opportunity to like build a relationship with them, at least not now. I think with one of them I might be able to in this life. I think with my other brother it'll have to wait till the next. But knowing that like I'm going to like see them, and I'll have like those opportunities to like be with them and have them like be my brothers, or maybe a leader in some way, even after this life. And me and my mom were talking about it, and she's like, I have not seen my boys in so long, but I know that I will see them when we go back to God in heaven. And I think that's beautiful.
And so full of hope. I love the way that you speak about families and just about wanting to be a mom. I don't think we as a society have a very great reverence for the family, but the way that I hear you talk about it, I think you have a spiritual gift for that, and speaking about it and being a proponent of the family. So keep shining that light for us. Thank you, Mercedes. Okay, we're here at the last question, and it's the same one that everybody gets. So here you go. Mercedes, why do you stay in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints?
I stay because the family I built like within the community is so beautiful, and all of like the blessings that I received in the temple and the blessings I will receive with my future spouse are so incredibly amazing, and I can't think of any other way to receive those. At the end of the day, like I've just come to have so much just love for the church, and people like might turn around and say, well, I had this horrible experience with a young women's leader, or someone looked at me the wrong way. And I would just like remind them that the church the church is not always perfect, but the doctrine and the gospel is. And I feel like that's important to remember, because people will make mistakes and people will judge, but the gospel, and most importantly, our Heavenly Father and Jesus Christ, will not.
Thank you so much for sharing that, and thank you for your experiences. And I just hope that you can take this and feel this on your mission, and that you will feel powerful like you are, and you will let your light shine, because I know you're going to be a force for good on your mission. So thank you for being here tonight, Mercedes.
Thank you for having me, Lindsay.
And that concludes my episode with Mercedes Vazquez. Mercedes, good luck on your mission. We are all rooting for you from this podcast, all the listeners. Good luck, Mercedes. And I hope everybody just feels the spirit of what was said during this episode. I know that we all could have a little bit more courage to stand up for what we believe in. And I know that we could all have a little bit more faith that the trials that we're facing right now will be made to work out for our good. And that's my challenge for this week, is to see something with new eyes, see a trial or a challenge that you're having with new eyes. Know that Christ is with you. Know that you can do hard things because Christ has you. You got this because Christ has you. All right. That's us signing off until next week. Next week on Tuesday, new episode every Tuesday. And again, if you'd like to be on this podcast, we would love for you to be on this podcast. Email me at whystaypodcast@gmail.com, and we will get you on here. All right. Thanks for staying with us, everybody. See you next time.